Should be good.
Cool.
As long as you don't rip through and distort everything, I think you'll be fine. I haven't had somebody
I'll lean back for that.
Usually we have people who are so quiet.
Yeah.
They're so kind. And
No, that won't be this episode.
Yeah, lead in.
Unfortunately, bummer.
So yeah. Well,
How do you start?
how do I start?
Like, how do we?
We just did.
It's cold open.
Cool.
Have a quick little cold open like that. This is a little peek behind the curtain.
Awkward.
Yeah, and
Start
then
it. Awkward eye contact. That's how we'll start this, right? Excellent. Good wink. He knows how to hold it. That's how you know he's in TV.
welcome to Things Might Happen. I am one of the hosts, Tyler Corbine, on my left, wearing his municipal waste hat and a hunting light.
Government, not the band.
A hunting
Or
light.
is
stole.
it every episode Oakley's? Or did you have corrective eye surgery? Or
No, they're just my emotional support
Right on.
sunglasses.
I'm here for it.
They're knockoff Oakleys.
That's all right. These are knockoff glasses. I get them on the internet.
He thinks that if anyone sees his eyes, he loses a part of his soul.
I get it.
Yeah.
Poker player rules.
Yeah.
Then we also have Tyler Matheson,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful, wonderful,
Green shirt.
Green shirt,
green
yes.
shirted,
Mm-hmm.
and of course our guest, our weekly guest, our daily guest, guest of the day, guest du jour, Murdoc.
Hi, guys.
Do you just go by Murdoc?
I do find it to be easier.
You don't
As
like
dumb as that sounds.
you don't like Murdoc Jurgensen.
On it all kind of depends on the situation, right? So like my girlfriend or a lawyer tend to call me Brad because my real name is Brad Jurgensen. But I have this old radio name Murdoc, and most people just call me Murdoc in whatever situations. I find it easier for everybody involved
To just one
say
name it.
Murdoc. I'm like,
So you wanted the
Adele.
one name and Madonna was taken.
Yeah.
So you just went to the
Went with
next.
Murdoch.
Yeah. Okay, I got it.
How did you get?
how'd I get Murdoc?
Yeah.
Just like guesses.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that a guess thing? Do we got a guess?
Sure,
on it?
you want to put any bets out there? It's reference to a
Is it because of the gorillas?
you're almost the only one who's ever guessed that. Boom, my man. You're the only, like almost only. It's always like the A team or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or Fox. Oh God no. But no, that's exactly it.
Oh, okay.
The night before I got to go back on the air, we're like, your name, and that one of them songs was playing on MTV, and I'm like, Murdoc's cool, and Murdoc Jones became this like a dancer who no longer dances. The stage name I have, yeah, from the Gorillas.
So
Nice.
I got kicked off college radio.
because you got too old, you aged out of it?
No,
or-
I didn't. I just looked like that. That's a good pull.
Kicked off when I went 40.
Is the Van Wilder
geezer. No, so I had a million majors. Like you ever seen that movie Rushmore?
Oh, yeah.
I was a little that dude at Black Hill State
Where
for a
Max
couple
Fisher
years.
starts all the groups and
Yeah, like I had
can't
a terrible.
pass any of his classes.
Yes, that was me.
If there was an Elton John song playing, would you be like Rocket Man Smith then, or like?
if only to be that
Yeah.
cool. No, in that time frame, it'd have been like a White Stripes song, and I'd have certainly been a militant atheist. There's a whole vibe. And no, we brought in a student and called that student's mother. It was a Mother's Day bit, and the student convinced the mom that she spent all her school money on an agent for an adult film career. And it was the wrong family. Like they were mad. They didn't think it
The
was
student
funny.
didn't key you in on that?
I didn't know it at the time. It's what I learned. Every big mistake, you hope to learn something.
Yeah.
That is like you got to pick someone who can take the joke, right? Also, it's FCC illegal to record somebody live on the air and not tell them they're being recorded. I didn't know. I was a kid. I was like 19.
Oh,
I was
yeah,
like,
because especially if you just hear Howard Stern stuff, it
I had-
sounds...
exactly. I had been in radio for 7 seconds, and college radio, which is worse. And I was like, naturally, I'm the next greatest one that's ever done this.
Yeah.
And there was also a show. I ripped it off from. I'll even admit it. I stole the bit from a show called Opie and Anthony, which was at one time in New York radio the meanest, vicious, also funniest. Like, you know how you could be shitty in the early. I don't know what are the rules. It's okay.
Shitty is great. We love
cool.
it.
You know, it was okay to be mean to women and pick on gay people.
Real misogynistic.
Right. That whole vibe
Fun.
had and no more was it more on morning radio kind of deal than a show called Opie and Anthony. So I kind of borrowed this bit of theirs, never thinking it would work. And then somebody at X Rock heard about me. And then there's a morning show called X Rock Morning Wood.
Yep.
I'm like Great Grandpa Wood. I'm the original Wood, if that makes sense. Yeah. Which is embarrassing now, as like I do business, right? And I'm like, well, I started X Rock Morning Wood.
Well, that's the thing.
But I'm proud of it still.
Yeah.
Your bio on the HomeSlice website even says like, listen, I can't put what I've all done in here.
A lot of different
I've signed a
things.
lot of NDAs. Not for anyone else's sake, just so I don't repeat what I've done.
I'm 43. You pick any age above 13 in between there, and I'll tell you of what I was doing around that time, and it'll wildly change from year to year.
Yeah.
You could do it right now. Pick an age.
All right, let's do 14.
At 14, the most interesting thing I was doing was detasseling corn. You know what detasseling corn is?
I imagine taking the
None of you
tassels
people
off.
are East River people, are you? None of you
No.
are you're all mountain people. Good for you. I'm with my people.
Is it
I'm
like
mountain people.
shucking corn?
A little, but not. Corn on the top of the corn has the thing that makes the pollen that then seed germinates the plant or the ear, so we can eat it or make seed corn out of it or whatever you do. Detasseling is a way to make the seed corn. So there's a male plant, and then this is the most boring podcast you'll ever do. There's a male plant, and there's 4 female plants. High school kids and junior high kids pick the tops off the corn. So only the males will pollinate all of the plant, and that's how they make seed corn. So you plant it the next year, and it's got to be like 99 points at whatever. Which is here to say, the most fun thing about it is you get up 4 in the morning, and you go to a cornfield, and it'd be freezing, cold, wet. And then by 7:30 in the morning, it was so hot you wanted to die. And this is how stupid we were. We all thought you could get high off toads, like garden toads that would just be in the sand. Because some older kid, I swear to God, this is all true.
You smoke them?
No, God, it's so much more embarrassing. Some older kid, and you gotta keep in mind, I grew up south of Sioux Falls in this little it's rural pig farmers. We're not
T.
Also, we're kids, so we're all dumb.
Smaller than T.
Right. And there's no internet. Way smaller than T. 600. I went to, 20-something people in my class or whatever.
Yeah.
We're all dumb kids. One of the older kids was like, you can get high off toads. And there was no internet. Like, there was, our Joe Rogan was that dude on the older bus who's, tried to sell you drugs.
Yeah.
And, he said if you squeeze the glands behind the thing, you get high. And we're all just like, yeah. But then none of us would admit it didn't work. I was 42 before I finally Googled that and learned it's only one toad in South America. We were
The rest of them give you cancer.
Yeah.
I heard that you lick toads and it
That
trips
only
you
works
out.
on
Wasn't
one
that
toad.
on Family Guy or
I don't know.
something?
We're all, but that's what you do, dumb kids. That's how I was doing at 14.
You were licking toads.
Licking toads in the cornfields of
rolling frogs.
Union County, South Dakota.
Okay. One time, I was told that nutmeg could make you trip.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was going around for a while, wasn't it? Where it's like on
So
the
we got a
internet.
whole nutmeg,
Did
and
you
we
do it?
shaved this thing down, and we were like, "How do you take the
What
nutmeg?"
do you do? Do you sniff it?
I think you're supposed to just shoot it like the powdered nutmeg,
Oh.
or maybe sniff it. But we're 17, we're afraid of sniffing anything.
Right.
We need
That's
a couple
drugs.
years to build into it. So we put it in water and tried to mix it, and it doesn't mix because it's
Oily.
well, it's not oily, but it's chunky because we don't have
sure.
a fine powder, fine. So then we just drink this horrible concoction of nutmeg and it's in the water, and we're coughing because it's just lining the inside of our throats. And that's probably why we thought it was making us high, is we were just
You couldn't
we
breathe.
couldn't breathe. We didn't have enough oxygen.
Yeah. Dumb kids.
That was
Well,
awesome.
yeah, the thing at my school was people would choke each other until they passed out. That was what they were doing. We weren't even.
No wonder what- no
early
wonder what.
sex weirdos.
That's West River stuff, buddy.
Ugh.
I came out to Wall. Yeah, this is how I learned West River people were 10 times tougher than East River people on the average. I was 14-ish. And I came out to the wall celebration.
Did you come out with some toads? Like
No,
offering them
yeah,
around?
me and my basket of toads to sell to the ranchers. No, buddy's uncle, whatever. But it's big cowboy who nanny, right? Everybody's drunk and wall. Everybody's drunk and wall. Grandmothers, grandkids, everybody's drunk for 4 days straight. And they even let us drink at 14. Times have changed. And I watched.
No, they haven't. You
watched-
haven't been to
That's
Wall
fair.
for a while.
I haven't been to Wall. I watched a dude pick up a dude, carry him out of the bar, and throw him into a windshield. And I'm like, oh, that don't happen in Alcester very often. This is different out here. So okay, what usually happens? What do you guys do?
Well, usually we ask how what happened in your life, but we kind of got to peek into it a little bit.
The first question is like, how did you get here? Why are you here?
Yeah, why are you here? Because you start off in college radio. You
Immediately screw it up.
You
and get
immediately
yourself
screw it
fired.
up.
Yep.
But I got a job out of it. That screw up, this is the story of my life. That screw up, someone was like, that's the kind of ding dong we're looking for.
What's the connection from Morningwood to president of anything?
Well, we certainly took some side steps, changed trains a couple of times.
Yeah.
I don't know where you start. How long is this show? I could do a 7-hour version of this, but I don't know if that'd be interesting.
Probably not 7.
Okay.
What's the 5-minute, 10-minute version?
The 10-minute. I started on air in radio. I have twins that their mom and I had at a real young age, and so I was immediately like, out of necessity. I'm ambitious, I think. If you ask people about me, they'd be like, oh, yeah, it's a little ambitious. Especially when you're young and you're a dude, right? And you don't have a lot of empathy yet.
It was the 90s.
Oh, boy. And so early 2000s, the boys were born in 02, and I was like doing, afternoon radio. I was making $18,000 a year, and I called a daycare. And I'm like, what's daycare cost for 2 babies? It was the day I found out we were going to have twins. And they're like, $18,000. I'm like, oh boy, that's what I make. And so something kind of went goofy, and I started doing it. I needed to become a revenue, that like fatherly thing kicks in, right? So I've been really lucky in goofy opportunities that I've had time to run with. There was a group of us that started some motorcycle magazines out of Spearfish in like 04 or 05-ish.
You were getting into print media in 04?
Isn't that crazy sounding? That's the first, they came I was like a radio jock doing like remotes at the motorcycle shop, and they're like, hey, we're starting a steam engine. And, and you gotta remember that this is long, that's 20 years ago. The chopper craze was about to explode on television.
West Coast Customs and stuff.
Oh,
like
that was all just going on, right? And there was a type of motorcycle called a bagger. You guys are bikers? Baggers were.
What about us? Says
What's got the bags on the side?
I don't know. He's got the sunglasses, and you never want to assume about anybody. I don't look like one either, but so like, I probably look like.
No,
one.
I've been to the
Sturgis
rally.
attendees.
You
I
look
do.
like
I look
every
like
guy
every
at the
dude.
rally. Yeah.
I don't know, your skin is too well taken care of.
You
I do.
use lotion.
I might go to Ulta more than
You've
they do.
seen moisturizer before.
I've been to 24 Sturgis rallies, which we'll get to. So, I got a real great opportunity to become the guy. You open up a magazine, you open up the back of the magazine, you see all the goofy little porno ads and stuff. Somebody calls those companies and sells them that spot. I became good at it.
Okay.
Really good at it. Guy above me wasn't working out. Guy above him wasn't working out. All of a sudden, I'm a kid, and we're like buying other magazines, and I'm at every motorcycle rally in the country. We're on the gas, right? Like, and I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea. I'm making all this up, right? Just all of it. But it was good cash, and I learned a lot, and then built a network, and you learn why that's important, and you learn how to be a good guy. You learn in the motorcycle industry, there's not a lot of good guys. There's a lot of good guys, but it's a little carny, right? Ethics can be a thing. Although I was a grown ass adult who could have saw that walking into it too. I don't mean that as a finger point. I I had gained some. I get tired of being at every motorcycle. After you've been at every
Well, you're on
motorcycle
the road
rally,
all the
all the
time.
time, right? And like it costs relationships, and your boys are little, and you're missing t-ball games, and the things that become important finally dawn on you a little. Also, I'm a young dude who grew up in the middle of nowhere, who was an early adapter to the internet. That's always been. I've always just had a little step because I'm open-minded to new technology, right? Like the day you want to go to the grave is the day you're not ready for the next thing. That's why I have a TikTok account. That's why I have, you get an account and the next thing you keep your mind open, right? So
What's your Blue Sky handle?
I'm at Murdoc J.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
I think that's right anyway. I might be at Murdoc Jones. Sometimes they're taken a little faster. I was original beta tester of Gmail. That's how dorky and far back I go. But like that thing popped. I had a lot of experience. I took that hubris this is 06, and I'm like, I'm gonna start my own company. I'm gonna start my own ad agency. I still have the tattoo of it on my arm, and it was an ad agency for the motorcycle business that had about 2 months of success, and then Lehman Brothers closed in 08 or whenever that was, right? And so like I struggled a bunch, and you learn a lot and all that too. I'll keep you the 5-minute version of this as much as I can. I always have a love for on air and radio and broadcasting and podcasting. I've been talking for some version of this for a living for 2 decades or more now. Hooked up with the HomeSlice guys. We'd always kind of known each other. I was a bartender at the Loud American in my early days of radio because, radio's radio. You just need it. If you love a passion gig, you got side hustle just like anything else, right? And so like that's radio a little back in the day. And then, they needed a dude who knew digital. I know it quite well. I've been lucky that way. There's a lot of value in connecting the traditional media world and the emerging media world, and the HomeSlice crew. We do a lot of events and all the things I kind of fit at, and
because HomeSlice seems like it does.
We're weird. We're the weirdest adult fun
I
center
couldn't
you've ever
figure out
seen,
exactly
buddy.
which guys
That's exactly how we like it, buddy.
It's like artist
Okay,
management.
so here's what we
radio
are.
Stations.
We are an entertainment and media company, which is a real generic. That's generously generic, right? But we hyper focus on a few things. We have a radio group here in town with 6 stations, and each of them have their own kind of audience and demographic. From the ranch, we have a product called KVHB. And it's like Rancher CNN, right? Like it's on in the trailer, it's on in the tractor, it's on the phone. It's generationally expansive. It's the voice to the production agriculture demographic in Western South Dakota. It's a huge audience, right? And they command a lot of respect, and they take a lot of time and staff, and they deserve it. So we have that. We also have we have a radio entity that I think is the coolest part of our company, to be honest with you. We have a digital agency that's second to none, and it's probably the secret to our success. Like we're really good at finding like credit equity customers and complicated recruitment and stuff like that. And then we have an ad agency, creative labor and photography and videography, and build your websites and call it for the banner, logo, kind of whatever. And if you add all those up a little bit, plus our artist management stuff, we're an event company, and so we do 500 to 600 events a year. We work with local brands if they need a logo. We work with national brands like the American Flat Track Association. We'll go on the road with rodeos, and we'll go to your casino and do a concert, and we'll
so you find ways to synergize.
Yeah, it's all the same thing,
stuff.
And then we also, we're big in being a local media. We believe in the local media, be it a podcast that's here, or a television station, a newspaper, or whatever the community has. That's so important for a community. And so we do a show with the mayor every week. We do an hour of South Dakota politics every week. We have a full-time staff of content creators of about 30, give or take, if you add them all up, that they're content creators. Maybe not sometimes in the traditional Kardashian butt cheek form, right? But they're in the community.
But sometimes they are.
Maybe not.
Maybe I don't. I don't.
Are any of them single?
Never asked. I don't want to know unless I know about it. But they're brilliantly funny and witty, and you should be talking to them on the show. And they're they all have things they care about in the communities they're in, and they have kids, and they have staff or spouses or partners or charity groups they care about, and some of them adopt kids, and some of them are religious, and some of them are Trumpers, and some of them are not. And it's a nice little group. And companies need MCs, and weddings need DJs, and events need razzle dazzle. need things to do. And so that's what we are. We're the razzle dazzle, hopefully.
So you killed your way to the top of that, huh? You slit some throats on the corporate ladder.
A lot of experience, but it's also a family business. I've known these guys since I was a bartender with them. We used to do bits together back when I was just a kind of a goofy radio schmuck. Shot collar Jeopardy, right? Like we would do these goobery bits, and they just loved it. They committed to the bit. I knew right away. Like no one ever wants to commit to the bit like I do, to a fault sometimes, right? And HomeSlice got it right away, and like so much so I'll just talk about Shot Collar Jeopardy. It's how we I think probably fell in love. I'm just some loudmouth goober who bartends for him once in a while, who's doing rock radio, and we have this idea called Shot Collar Jeopardy, and they made a board. We had a table. You could guess it. We found these like mountain lion shot collars from some weirdo dude in Lemon. Like when he got to the bar and opened them up, it was like opening up a nuclear suitcase with 2 keys. He's like, whatever you do, don't turn it more than 3. It might hurt somebody. And we would have 3 contestants, and I have my finger on the button. We all just get bombed. This is 04. Insurance didn't matter. And like, they would pick the categories, and if they got it wrong, they got shocked. And like, we did one round with it on level 2 where everyone wasn't drunk yet, but the next round we were all hammered and put it on level 7, and like some guy beat his pants, and like it was a whole. But it was so much fun. It was so much fun.
Just because you don't want to admit you peed your pants.
That's the double Jeopardy round.
And they just got it right away, and I think ever since then we've just been family, right? And so we're a small company, but it's 60 people at times, and another 100 and whatever during the Sturgis rally, and. Yeah, it's fun.
Did you say mountain lion shock collars?
Yeah.
Why do they have? How do they get?
That's a good question.
How else are you going to train your mountain lion?
That's what I assume. Plausible deniability is real huge in the big game, fellas.
You might just want to say large game shock collar at that point, because
that thing was a real deal. No, it was for like super duper giant dogs and mountain lions and stuff. It was
like
rad.
Clifford, big,
Yeah.
or
and it was big enough to drop, unfunny drunk guys. Ladies, keep that in mind. And then so in 2016 they bought this radio group. So now we've got this giant digital agency and this big entertainment group, and we're on the gas, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun. I love what I do. I think it's vogue to like hate your job and hate going in and all that stuff, and I've been through that, and that sucks too. And that's still a job. There's crappy parts about any job, but like it's hard to bitch about my job, dude. All I do is go do fun stuff, talk about it. It's rad.
So you're president, but it sounds like president for that place is like you go in and there's something that needs to be done, and you're kind of like you kind of get to pick to do something fun.
Yeah, I'm trying to, I'm newer at it. So I think I'm trying to learn how to be good at it. And I think a lot of that, 43, straight white guy, grew up in a farm town.
Sounds like a president to me.
I'm dripping in privilege, right? Like I just am. And so I'm sure at Black Hill State, when they were teaching me, like being a leader means listening. Like I know a million people told me along the way how much you have to listen and like be a dude and be their dude. I'll be honest, like they gave me the stripes, and I'm like, nah, we're gonna do it my way. And now it's, it was like that's not. You gotta go be their dude. And so I'm learning, hopefully, how to do that.
Well, every mistake you make is an opportunity to learn. Just like
learn so much in 09 and 2010. Oof, boy, learning.
Was that the collapse of your company? Is that
of a lot of companies, though? Right. Yeah.
Not just mine.
No, but I do. So I'll chambers or like your business development group or your radio station. Sometimes I'll get asked to come and speak at things, which is super rad, right? Just to come talk to us for a while. And a lot of times I'll just talk for an hour about how many goofy dumb things I've screwed up, because every time I've done it, it's like that's how you knew it. In the motorcycle industry in that time, it won't matter to anybody other than this is what I mean. In 2009, we're at some bike rally, and I'm listening to some story about how a dude just took a second mortgage on his house for $100,000 custom motorcycle. And at the time, I'm like, yes, we're going to get rich. And at the time, what I should have been saying was like, what your eyebrows are doing is this face. This is how you know he's good with money. That's how you know he's good with money. Because we should have been, this is a real sell high moment, but you don't know. And now everyone will tell you they saw it coming and all this other dumb stuff. That's bullshit. You know what I mean? Everybody was all in as hard as they could go.
Yeah.
Because everybody was we were all going to get rich. And then Lehman Brothers closed. Then it's a shoe leather gig. And you survive it. You make it. You know, crappy apartment, eat ramen.
See, I was just leaving high school when everything closed. So I just entered the world and was like, oh, yeah, there's just nothing here.
You mind if I ask how old you guys all are? How old
We're all about 32.
All about 32.
Yeah.
You know what I like about you guys? You're on the real border. It depends. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. We're going to find out maybe by the end of the show. These, like young millennial, just like any, I'm the oldest millennial, right? Like maybe the oldest. I'm the oldest bitch.
That's your title now. Murdoc, the oldest millennial.
I'm the oldest one. I'm young enough for the internet to be good at it, but you know, I'm not. And so like young millennials kind of co-opted work-life balance to be to be coded as, well, I just don't want to do anything ever. Which is harsh overgeneralization.
I feel it.
But right underneath them, what's the next group? Gen Z?
The
Right?
Zoomers.
Zoomers.
They were born in 9/11. By the time they got to middle school, the economy just fell around them, and a lot of them had lost their house and all that. And then they almost figured it out, and then we banged COVID across their face. Right? They're raised with it.
Yeah.
They didn't have that period where everything was whatever. It's just constant one after another. And they've never not had social media. Right, so it's not some weird thing that ruined everybody's life. It's just a thing that has always ruined their life, right? And oh boy, that there's something real magical to their ability to just dig their way around the nonsense and get to the point. And they might not know everything. Younger millennials feel like you got to sit down and explain everything. I might sound like a 1,000-year-old guy as I say that, right? But like we're not good at communicating it because we're just like, we'll do what we did, which was grind our knuckles to the bone.
Yeah.
And that's stupid, and they know it. So I'm not being funny, but they're right. But these ones right underneath them still fail to see them away, but they watch the older group ahead of them stomp their feet about it and then reflect bad on them. So they just put their head down and dig through it to find solutions. It's the most brilliant thing about a 28-year-old. They're just solution finders.
Yeah.
I was born too soon.
Yeah, but that's a flexible, you know.
I still think Facebook was bad.
And Kim maybe will be.
Yeah.
Are you all TikTokers?
Yeah.
I'm not.
No.
No.
Sheldon's secretly 45. That's why he wears
Got
sunglasses.
the look with the hair, right? Like a real kind of not Luddite of any means.
I romanticize the 80s, so
nice.
yeah, that's my deal.
I drag my sad ass into TikTok.
It's good.
I
like it.
Yeah.
You know, there's a big argument. Like, do you keep the TikTok or not? Right? And I can be a lawyer for both sides. Even in this state, there's millions in the economy that runs through TikTok shops, which is tax revenue, the whole bit, right? And like the privacy concerns of China, Facebook, name the app, it all does the same stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think the average 68-year-old has a concept of the following. 21-year-old has the same concept of trust in the Chinese government as they do the American capitalist system.
Well, yeah, it's just who's going to be taken up by
exactly. And so like that communication doesn't work. Like, ooh, they're going to steal your data. Everything's stealing your data. Their data's they're the most public. Everything's out there. You know what I mean? That doesn't bother them. So I don't know. But it's not like China ain't trying to steal our shit and like disrupt our stuff. That's true.
Yeah.
Right? Like that, we do that too, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's just a little how it works.
Yeah.
Wait, are you serious?
So
Has the American government done something wrong?
No.
But we're off the election stuff, which is thank goodness, right? But like just watch 1 year or so from now. You'll see a lot of this, China, it's so easy to black and white it as the Marvel bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just more complicated than that, as everything is.
I was just hoping the band would go through so I didn't have to learn learn the app.
No, you
But
gotta
then
learn
a
the
few
new
months ago,
apps.
I
Yeah.
realized I'm like, it's not happening. I'm gonna have to learn the app.
I like its ability for the average dummy to improve their videography game.
Mm.
I think that's good. I think anytime you have somebody who's good at something and they gatekeep it, and you can knock that down a little, there's a lot of benefits that come with it, right? And so, like, really wowing video at the same time AI is changing everything is a wonderful time to.
Well,
have
the
that
language of
conversation.
the videos they have on there
Yeah.
are things that 10 years ago I would have been like, this is slop. I would have been like, what the hell's happening here? But then you watch it and you're like, this is
Pretty good.
compelling.
Yeah.
This is good stuff.
Yep.
And that's not to say it's the, end all best one or it'll never be another one. Humans aren't built that way. We'll always find a shiny.
Well, there'll be something
Diamonds.
where people are now like, man, back in the golden days when we just had TikTok.
Right.
It's like,
People will look at TikTok now how they look at Vine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
Or-
Zubu. Zubu's
What
ruined
was-
our country.
What was your first?
TikTok was
what
good.
was everybody's first social media?
Bebo.
Bebo.
Wow.
If
Bebo.
you even know what
MySpace.
Bebo
I know
is.
what Bebo is.
Yeah.
MySpace
You're
and
my
Bebo.
MySpacer. You
That-
had been a young MySpacer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. MySpace, and then I think I might have had a Bebo. Is that?
I think Bebo was
And
big
I
in this
think I made
pocket of the world.
Yeah.
I think my
it had like a
Facebook-
weird.
Because I bring it up to other people and they're like, I don't know what that is.
Do you guys remember? None of you are old enough for ICQ. You don't remember ICQ? It was like an early
No.
AOL instant messenger.
Okay.
I remember Instant Messenger.
Okay, so like before that, in
Yeah.
like the 90s, it was just weird goth chat rooms and ICQ.
yeah.
And that's what it was. All night. I'd just spend all night every evening on.
Yeah.
I still remember my 106-47275. That was my ICQ number. You had to remember it.
Bring that up, young man.
Yeah.
Pull up the chat logs.
Yeah.
Teenage posts. All you're gonna find is a real sad upper middle class pig farming kid who's got a lot of strong feelings about the band Everclear.
Upper middle class pig farming kid.
Yeah.
It's quite a time.
Yeah.
I've
worked
never
in-
quite heard it put that way.
I worked in pig farms and pig confinements, and I worked in packing plants for pigs. And there was this dance club somewhere in Iowa where they'd have teen night, And so this is real, I promise. So you'd work in the barn, and you'd work till whenever 7, 8 at night, and you just try to hurry up and get out of there. And then we'd all go to our buddy Mark's house. I think it was Mark, and we'd shower and try to scrub the pig manure off you.
Mm.
If you don't know anything about pig manure, it doesn't come off you; it seeps in your pores.
Well, we've all driven through East River and smelled it.
I've
because
never
it just-
been in pig manure.
Okay,
Seeps in your pores
it
sounds
does.
awful.
It seeps in your pores. Oh, and here's where that
So
matters.
you're sweating pig shit?
So you go to the Northwest Iowa Teen Night Dance Club,
Yeah.
where nobody can dance because everyone's the color of skim milk, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we're all trying.
Well, you said Iowa. We all
Yeah,
assumed.
put it all
yeah.
together.
Yeah.
And so everyone's kind of wallflowering, but you pack a bunch of teenagers in there and everybody's hormones, and you just grind against the Genuine's pony.
The hormones might smell worse than the pig manure,
Well, okay,
honestly.
so you get a crew of all hot, sweaty teenagers. Everybody starts sweating, and then your pores start to open, and you smell a little bit like pig manure, covered by cool water cologne.
Mm.
And in Northwest Iowa, they think you're rich, so they dance with you, and was the best thing about working at the teen night days at the barn.
That's actually a good way. That's a good way to collect a good guy. It's like this guy works out in the field. He's a hardworking
That's what
kid.
it was.
He's
Pops
gonna help.
trust him with the herd.
Yeah.
Is it a herd of pigs? I don't know.
Kind of follow your nose around the middle
No.
school dance for the shittiest.
This
smelling
would have
guy.
only lasted for a couple more years because Axe body spray then ruined it all.
That's what it smells like. I'm telling you. You right now, somewhere in Iowa, you can go to the teen night dance, which now sounds like my nightmare, and it will smell like Axe body spray and pig manure. The only way to get out pig manure is you drink a couple beers in a hot tub, and then you just get to sit and let it.
That's the only way.
That's it. That's the only way I've ever found it. I was raised with it.
Doctor's orders.
Yeah.
And you said you were a goth kid? Is that what you said?
I really went through a phase. I went through a lot of phases.
Okay.
It just, almost cool, but not cool enough. Always somebody's my little buddy. So I was always identity shopping
Oh, I see.
in high school a little. So there's a preppy phase, and there's a jock
Sure.
phase, and there's a goth phase. But the goth phase was just at night in the keyboard. It's not like, you know what I mean?
After teen night?
No, gosh, no. Alcester, I'm sure it's a wonderful community now, right? But like, I was still raised where like you would throw dead birds at the goth kid or the gay kid. Like, that's still something that would happen back in the day.
Yeah.
No, it's still like that. No, I've seen. Yeah.
It's less. I will say this: having a gay family, the way they've gone through it was so much better than the way I would have been through in Alcester. That's come a mile, which I think was good.
We were in high school. It was about half and half. There's like half the emo kids, and then half whatever. At least in my.
Okay. Can we talk about something about? Because like, I just got back from Death Valley.
Okay.
And in any national park here in the hills, I've been a lot. My twins, I have twins. They work in national parks, which is so rad. They're working their way around to national parks. Like they've been to Yellowstone and Smoky Mountains and Zion and Moab. Anyways, they're in Death Valley. Went and seen them because I needed to blow off steam after the election. Plug my boys. And
Death Valley is a great place to go.
It really was.
Yeah.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Why was I talking about this?
Something about the national parks.
Yeah.
You know whose vibe everybody needs to have? Old Asian tourists.
Yeah.
And I know it's stereotyping, you're not supposed to do it. Dude, their vibe, they're so happy to be there.
Yeah.
They're happy you're there.
Yeah.
They'll take your picture. Every rock is amazing. They're not so mad at their weird gendered youth. They don't understand it either, but they're not so upset about it. Like our elder tourists are filled with sadness and Cracker Barrel and diabetes.
Well, maybe the Cracker Barrel causes the sadness.
Maybe.
We don't know.
But like, man, and again, I'm sure there's crabby elder Asian tourists as well, but they're a vibe I think everybody should strive to be. I saw them on all these hikes and they were just awesome, and I wanted to go home with them.
They did, yeah, I don't like. Sounds weird talking about that demographic, but
I know it sounds delicate, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't. Again, you can't
Like,
stereotype.
They take pictures of everything, which is totally fine. But it's just
Which
like
is totally fine.
But they have like the camera right here. And they have a GoPro on their head, and they have the extra camera on their back, dude.
Because they're here for it. They're not too cool for the broom.
Yeah.
They want to check out every museum.
Or maybe this is how China's spying on us.
No,
Now.
it could be.
They're
sending
mapping out
lots
our
of
entire
tourists.
country,
Mapping out our
slowly
national
by
parks.
GoPros and
I don't know. I
disposable cameras.
just kind of watched them side by side a little bit, and the one group was just mad at the street youths and mad at everything, and seemed like a harder way to be.
Mm-hmm. So some friends and I went to Mount Rushmore on a day where, end of high school, we were bored. It was the summer. And so we went out to Mount Rushmore. And it was so foggy that day, nobody could see anything. So we convinced a group of tourists that we were tour guides. And so we took them on a tour of Mount Rushmore where you couldn't see anything. And so we had convinced them that they had actually brought in fog machines.
Nice.
So that they could import the rock that they needed to add Barack Obama's face.
Oh, no.
Because he had just gotten elected.
Let's say that.
Add Barack Obama's face to Mount Rushmore. And they fully believed it. So I know that there are old Asian tourists out there who are saying, no. Seriously, it's going to be any day now.
This is an old photo.
Yeah.
This
This
is
is before they added the Barack.
This is.
Yeah.
Anytime they see it up there,
The
that's
Google
what's
Maps card needs to drive by again. Oh, there's this. There's no way this story can be true. As it's been told to me, it's true. Great salt block, not grain of salt. As we
big
tell
old
this,
salt block.
Yeah.
Mhm.
the
Salt
whole
Lake.
thing's hypothetical. There's this group of ranchers sitting in the Condoka coffee shop. And at the time, it was, a coffee shop where it was also a breakfast diner, and tourists would stop there, get gas, get breakfast, get back on the road. And there was this group of deer hunters behind this group of ranchers. And the deer hunters are from out of town, and they're talking about the strangest deer hunt they've ever been on. The ranchers start listening. They go, do you guys mind telling me what are you talking about? It's the strangest thing. We've been hunting in the Black Hills, and we shot these deer. Never seen any deer like this before. They're male deer, but there weren't any antlers. Never seen anything like it. The ranchers are like, let's go check them out. Go to the trailer, pull up the tarp. Those are real exotic Black Hills deer you got there. Nice job, guys. Great eating. Good, held it together. They were Custer State Park burros that they had shot, field dressed, and tagged. Somehow no one saw them in or out, and they were getting gas driving home, and like went home and made jerky out of them. There's no way that story could be true. But as it's been told to me, they would swear on a stack of Bibles it is.
I don't know. So my stepmom managed a hotel for a long time, and you could get tourists to believe anything, right?
Sure.
Like, what do they do with Mount Rushmore in the winter? Oh, they deflate it and put it in the mayor's garage, you know? Just fully believe anything. The only thing that they couldn't get tourists to believe is, how do we get to Mount Rushmore? Oh, you just go up Mount Rushmore Road.
Yeah.
No, seriously, how do we get there? You just go up Mount Rushmore Road.
State parks are not as policed
Maybe.
as national parks are. So I was.
But who's that dumb and shoots a... Everyone knows what a donkey looks like. Everybody knows what a donkey looks like. It's not a giraffe, it's a donkey.
They must have been from Iowa.
New York is, as it was told. They're New... Of course they were from New York, right? Which is also makes me think the whole thing's sus.
One time I visited my little brother down in Shadron, and we went to Shadron State Park.
We hire a lot of Shadronites.
And we pull up to the booth where you're supposed to pay to enter Shadron State Park, and he just drives on by. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to pay there. And he's like, no, they've never made me pay before.
Excellent.
He's like, I've done this tons of times. And it turns out he had a couple fines for Shadron State Park.
Yeah.
That water jug if I could. Is it my allowed to... Do you guys edit this? What do you do?
Oh, we
just leave it all in?
We edit it.
Edit this.
We can leave it all in.
It's up to you. Your show.
Yeah.
I'm drinking my unnamed coffee.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to sponsor Starbucks. He just wants to give them his money all the time.
This episode is brought to you by Starbucks.
Starbucks tastes the Christmas or whatever.
Taste the Christmas.
Do people still get mad at the gay cups or whatever it is? Remember every Christmas somebody get mad
The
about
war on Christmas?
Yeah, or the war on...
I'm sure.
I love War on Christmas. That's my thing.
That's your jam?
Yeah.
As a fan of the 80s?
Yeah.
What's your perfect 80s concert?
Perfect 80s concert? Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Like,
okay. Nobody's ever asked me this.
Maybe a couple of bands on the bill. Maybe venue can change too, right?
This is the most excited he's ever been.
Nobody's ever asked me like a cool question.
I'm here
like
for this.
All right. Metallica when Kill 'Em All came out.
Okay.
So
late 80s.
Early 83, 84.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd have thought more kind of the Crew,
Oh, no, definitely Motley Crue.
All right.
When
you're a metal guy, though.
Yeah. Too Fast for Love, that first album. Let's see. Throw
You're like real life Otto the bus driver.
Wait, how many bands
He just can't be around kids. That's the only problem. If it weren't for those felonies, he would be
all right, dude.
How many bands do I get?
You get two bands
and
a venue.
Oh,
and a year.
Okay. I take back Motley Crue.
Oh. You got to put Rick Astley in there, right?
No,
The Cure.
Not the Cure.
The Smiths.
Okay. The band called Razor.
Nope.
Like mid 80s, late 80s.
Was that no, I don't know them?
Yeah, your dad might know this band.
I know a lot of rock bands too. What's they have a hit?
They do not have a hit.
Okay.
He's
That's how
never
you know they're
heard
good.
No one else has ever heard
We
this
won't
band.
play it, so you don't. Yeah, there's no like you could play a Razor song and no one from Razor's gonna be like trademark. Are they even on Spotify?
They will be. Look
Okay.
up a album called Shotgun Justice. Yeah.
Shotgun Justice.
Yeah.
Hold on, artists.
Terrible artwork. by the way.
Razor.
Yeah.
Shotgun Justice Deluxe Reissue.
Whoa.
Okay.
That's my jam right now.
This is your stuff.
Right now. Yeah, currently.
Maybe fast forward.
Yeah, go to like mid song.
Yeah,
So.
get it to the the real plot.
Yeah.
This?
That's a vibe. You know, this
Like
is
you could have Queen, like anybody.
Yeah, but no hate.
We gotta get Razor.
If you like a thing, you like a thing.
Yeah, I'm not saying I love all those other bands too.
Sure.
But like
Razor.
I go for the deep
Razor
cuts, you know
and
what I mean?
Metallica, 83.
83
Where at?
Metallica. You know, it doesn't matter.
It's just anywhere.
Just somewhere.
Cool.
With like a small crowd.
Like an
CBGB?
intimate metal
Yeah, yeah.
experience.
No,
with
I know
Razor
I know
and
a good
The
Hanukkah.
VFW over here.
Yeah,
Any VFW.
Dude,
Goat's old St. Joe pub bar. That's where you want to see
Shotgun
this, if anybody
Willie.
remembers
okay,
this.
it would be a tie between 83 Metallica and like 86 Exodus. There, those two. Okay, there we go. That's it. That's my.
Oh, poor Razor got left off the bill.
No, they're headlining.
They're headlining over Metallica.
opens for Razor.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I'm sure Dave Mustaine's very happy somewhere that you said that.
You're gonna get an email from.
I agree.
Hell yeah, dude.
Be like,
Okay.
really? He's one of our listeners.
Okay,
All right.
so, last week I did see Exodus. They're like 60-year-old guys playing thrash metal.
Oh, yeah.
And they rock it out, dude. It was awesome.
Old rock acts are pros.
Yeah.
Like they plug in, they play, thank you, good night,
Yeah.
smile and bow. You know what I mean? They're
Go
road
home,
dogs.
take some codeine.
They, and you can still like. Some county fair is always going to pay you a good amount of money to
Yeah.
go, do
Yeah.
the hits, right?
Hell
Like that's
yeah.
a good living if that's your jam.
Yeah.
Good for them.
So what is yours? This was a
There's
great
no-
question. So what?
Possible way I could dial in that question just generically.
Okay. all
Okay,
right.
so we got to give you like a genre.
No, I
or-
just think like I've spent so many years on rock radio and
Mhm.
like there's a time and like I've also aged through like that like the haterade portion of where you gotta think Britney Spears is stupid.
Mm.
You should be able to like what you like, right? And so there was a time when I was like, I want to interview Art Alex August from Everclear, and I want to see him because they're the greatest band ever. And then I've done that, and I've seen them 4 times, and they're maybe the 7th worst live band you've ever seen ever, right?
Isn't it terrible
Oh,
when you
it's
love
like
a band
Santa.
and you see them?
It's like Santa isn't real. It sucks, man. And like, and it's and also it's hard being an artist because everyone wants to do the greatest interview you've ever done, and sometimes you just have a headache, right? So like, who wants to talk to the chubby guy who looks like Up?
Yeah.
About a show in fucking Deadwood or whatever, right? Like, I get it too. I have a show upcoming I'm excited for. I'm a huge Pixies fan.
Mm.
So much so, my bulldog is named after Frank Black.
Yeah.
Bulldog's name is Francis. And my favorite, consistently over all your life, you tend to go back to kind of one desert island record. And he was in a band after the Pixies. It's called Frank Black and the Catholics. And they have a record called Teenager of the Year that was put out in 94. He is going on tour, playing the record front to back in a couple of different places. One of them is Denver. So I'm going to see that show, which is rad as shit to me.
Yeah.
There ain't 7 people in this town who can name you a Frank Black and the Catholic song.
This
right?
feels
So
like it's right up your alley.
I know the Pixies very well. I know that Frank Black did other stuff.
And so, but I've seen Pixies a couple times, and I was checking it off the boxes. The first time you get to see the Pixies to me was, magical. I saw Mumford and Son, and I cried. It was so good, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't see that.
I would
coming.
love to see them.
One of the most fun concerts I've ever been to is when you're young and you're dumb, and like we got drunk off peppermint schnapps and fruit punch, and we went and saw Real Big Fish at a line dancing bar. And like even Real Big Fish got there and they're like, "Are we gonna die here?" Right? Like, it was like Zebrahead and Real Big Fish and some other metal band. I went through that phase, and that was super rad. Seeing Modest Mouse for the first time was a mind blower.
Modest Mouse was touring with Pixies, and
I
I
saw
was
that show.
so sad that I wasn't able to do that.
Oh, okay. We got to talk about this. I saw Modest Mouse 20 years ago in a club show where he was coked out of his gourd and he like opened a pocket knife.
He cut himself. He cut
Yeah,
his
at
chest
that Sioux
open.
Falls show 20 years ago.
Yes.
And that's like and also like, I smoked so much weed to Modest Mouse. I smoked so much weed to Modest Mouse, right? And so like that was my thing, right?
Yeah.
And so you have that whole experience in your head. But then they're Modest Mouse, right? So they become 20 years of hits. And like a couple people died, a couple people had to get sober. There's always varying degrees of that. Everybody's heard of them by now. So now you see them, and they're touring with the Pixies, and the Pixies are open for them, which is what?
Yeah.
Right? And even they would say that. You got to play your hits. So it was weird seeing them in a big arena show
Yeah.
Yeah.
where it was like, they're a million miles away, and they just got to play. They're never going to play your B-side of that one time.
Yeah.
You were so zooted. You know what I mean? It's just not going to happen. Which is not to say you don't want to take any experience away from everybody else, but I was glad that I had seen the club,
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could see the
vein of what it
I
was.
think this is why I'm never gonna pay to see like Metallica or Slayer, or because they play giant arena shows now,
Dude.
and it's just
I brought a bus row to X-Rock listeners to Casper, Wyoming once to see Godsmack and Metallica.
okay.
We got to Gillette, and I was like, I need a new career.
I think everyone thinks that when they get through Gillette. It's
Meth
fine.
shaking. Everybody's hammered. There's 3 women on the bus. Everyone's
such
trying
a
to sexually
long
assault
bus
them.
ride,
It was
too.
right. It's like a wagon ride. It was the hillbilly Donner Party, buddy. Everybody's hammered. Also, then Metallica plays for 16 years. They play forever. They play until next Tuesday, which is rad. Unless you're trying to get a bus full of drunks back to Spearfish.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that bus
It was
ride
like
back is
hurting,
like.
like the Rapid Valley Cats. If I can make a local reference.
How much puke did you clean up off that bus?
I'm in the event world. There's just a puke once in a while. You just, grow up. 24 Sturgis rallies. That's a lot of puke.
Did Modest Mouse play Teeth Like God's Shoe Shine?
No.
See, that's the thing is, like, I know they're not going to play
But that's all right.
the really, like, grindier stuff.
I saw the Black Crowes once, and they didn't play one hit. Not one. Not She Talks to Angels. Not nothing. The Robinson brothers got up there and went, we're going to do some jazz songs. Eat it if you don't like it. And, like, for 2 hours, just bored everyone to death with weird covers of gospel hits. It was a bomb. But they're the Black Crowes. They get to do what they want.
Yeah.
I was mad about it for a while, but, like, I don't know. I'll see them again. The Dumpster will do another set where they play all the hits.
See, I went and saw, so there's this band I like, TV Girl. Tiny band.
God.
Initially, 2010, 2011, they're releasing these like EPs on Bandcamp. No one's ever heard of them. I pay $7 to go see them down in Denver at a dive bar. I'm one of 15 people in the crowd. It's the best night of my life. I know all their songs.
They're like,
It's-
are they
it's-
like TikTok famous now?
they got TikTok famous. Now tickets are like $100 to
Yeah.
see them.
It's like after the Cubs won the World Series. Used to be able to like buy a dude a beer and get Sloan Field tickets and
Yeah.
spring ball, right? And then they win the World Series finally, and now they're $96.
Well, it's cool because then you get to go see them in the theater. And it's like, oh, this is
Yeah.
so much cooler. Cool to see them grow up. But then I'm there and I'm like 28 and I'm 10 years older at least than everybody else there. And no one appreciates anything except
Dude,
the TikToks.
Look at me. Picture me. You know how many all ages shows I have to go to a year? It's a drag. Even the 21 and up shows now are a drag. Check IDs a couple times a year.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a kick in the dinger, man. It's a real ego. You gotta walk into it with a lot of confidence.
Yeah. I don't know that I will ever see TV Girl live ever again.
I got to see, do you know LP?
Yeah.
I got to see LP. My best friend is an LP fanatic. And so I got to see LP a handful of times, from like nobody to selling out the Mission. And, it's wonderful when that happens in the right.
Oh, I'm
Time
so
frame, right?
happy
Yeah.
for them.
But it's pain, right? You're like, God, now I got to find a new band no one knows about. It's a real drag having taste, isn't it?
It is, yes.
How long have we been going?
We're almost at an hour.
How long do you want to go?
We could take a quick little break, do a little bathroom break, and then
Yeah.
Chrissy Davies Hat of Destiny.
You have a Chrissy Davies Hat of Destiny?
Yeah.
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 Yes!
We got a couple questions we've thrown in
Love her.
there, and we'll run
Yeah.
through those. And
Okay, very good. So, okay, we talked about who's a comic, not your favorite comic, but like who's the comic you're digging right now?
I don't know. I could go my go-to answer is Mitch Hedberg all the time.
Sure,
So
Hedberg.
that's-
Yeah, that was a vibe,
Yeah.
especially for your guys' age. That he was a whole
Yeah.
like delivery system
Yeah.
of comedian.
well,
there
by the
for a
time
while,
we got
right?
to that age, everyone realized, like, oh, actually, that guy was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, when he first appeared, it was like, what is he doing?
Well, and then there was that whole scene like after he passed, there was a lot of like.
Like the alt comics start coming out.
Yeah, Hedberg create. But in the same way, there's a lot of dudes who were like Carlin-esque, right? Like everybody
Right.
takes their page. There's a lot of comics took that Hedberg run for a while. What's
Stephen Wright is a great
that's the
comic.
who's probably the original, right?
Yeah, for sure. The one line, but I love his monotone, and it's just he's a brilliant writer because he can do like wildly absurd premises, and you just buy in immediately. But then he also does really relatable stuff. I really like Stephen Wright. Somebody I've been listening to a lot recently is Chad Daniels.
I don't know who that is.
It's all right.
No, that's good. I want to look it up.
Another one who's like getting like taking the ladder now. This guy named Sam Talent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from
Dude.
Colorado.
Yeah.
That guy. You read his book?
I haven't.
Oh my God, that book.
I read the book. I
That
stole
book
his
is
copy.
so good. He plays here once in a while. He does shows here once in a while. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I think we've all been on shows with him.
Does everybody still shit on Brant Tobler? Which isn't fair because he's real funny.
I don't know who that is.
He's like a real long time road comic. And he
Okay.
does a circle. He does a lot of West stuff and he does a lot of Vegas stuff. And he's
Yeah.
out of Denver too. I think
Oh,
he's
okay.
the same. Isn't that where Talent's out of?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought it'd be cool to grab a couple of those guys and have a bigger scene here and get a couple of good road guys and get some monthly rooms going. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
Like, why are you guys comedians other than the normal? Something's fucking wrong.
We all
with you.
got bullied in school.
Yeah, that happens.
It's the only thing I'm good at.
Yeah, being funny. Being funny
Well,
was
it's the only thing I'll do.
sure the mechanism you found.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like when I do it, the universe is happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like the only time when I can. It's like I tried doing like pizza delivery. Universe wasn't happy with that.
He tried dating women. The universe wasn't
Yeah.
happy with that.
dang it.
Corporate jobs. I was a manager once, and I made a joke.
What did you manage?
I managed a craft store, and
Of like
arts and crafts.
arts and crafts. Okay.
Yeah. And I made a joke to one of the people I had just hired. I said, "You are wearing sunglasses indoors. What are you, an alcoholic?" And she was.
Oh, yeah.
And it was that was the moment where I was like, "Well, I can't be doing this anymore." Like,
Yeah, that's a bummer.
That was me actually.
Yeah.
I walked in the store.
It's always that first pull, because you think that jump for that first pull is so strong that
Yeah.
there's not enough edit in it, right?
Yeah. Well, I didn't get in trouble for it. I just realized to myself, like, there's going to be more of these eventually, and I'm not going to have my ass covered for it. So,
What about what's your comic bug? Like, what got you into it? What made you go? I'm gonna put on these sunglasses,
So for the
grow out
first
this mullet, make people laugh.
So actually, the first time I was at this summer program, and I was in high school, and the RAs were supposed to have like this joke contest, right? And my RA was like really shy, and I just knew a bunch of street jokes at this point. And then she's like, "I can't do it. I'm not gonna go." And they're like, "Can they have somebody else go for you?" And they're like, "You should go." And talking to me, and I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll just go up there and just
Okay.
tell the street jokes real quick." And I did, and I was like, "Yeah, this makes me happy
Do you
for a
remember
little
any
bit."
of the jokes?
I don't. They're like real, like cheesy,
Old school.
Yeah, like,
Set them up, knock them down.
Yeah.
Benny jokes,
Yeah, and it was didn't feel too sad for a little bit on stage. So I
Yeah,
just kept doing
that's
it.
good.
Yeah.
And that was like the first time, and then after that, I was like, maybe I should just start writing my own jokes. So, yeah.
Did you guys find this in like high school, or like did you do like homecoming skits and shit like that? Like that's what we grew up doing.
No, not really.
Like that's what you told the gay theater kid. Like, do homecoming.
I was a
skits.
theater kid. I was a theater kid. But I didn't like being on stage.
I was on
theater
the
okay.
in high
I
school.
was tech crew for
Tech crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of anxious people end up in tech crew. No one knows what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like the school plays in high school. I was like, we're trying so hard to just be watchable.
Yeah.
It's a nightmarish thing we're
plays.
putting our parents through.
I did plays. I did musicals. I did homecoming skits, and you did the bits and stuff that your class would do, and
Yeah.
like, after the jocks want to do drag, and that's not funny, and the fourth year in a row, you got to come up with a bit, right? Like, so, and like I was a little chubby and defensive about it, right? And so like that was I wasn't a jock. I wasn't, you know what I mean? I was like the latest bloomer of the bloomers in Union County, right? And so you had to find a defense mechanism, and
Yep.
being funny is how you find it.
Yeah, it wasn't like I always wanted to do comedy. It wasn't one of those things. I remember watching stand-up on TV all the time as a kid, but I just never thought.
You don't watch it and be like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna. But there's this one on CTV, the Spanish channel. It's called Latino Laugh Festival, and I watched it all the time. But it was
the only one that came in.
Yeah,
Only one on the bunny ears.
And yeah, it was just. I was like, so it was always like there, but it was just never like, I'm gonna do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I didn't really grow up exposed to too much comedy, but I remember when I was in high school. This is a really weird thing that I kind of forgot about, but I would like find jokes like on the internet, like find like, set them up punchline jokes. And I would take them while I was at school and I would like put them all into a Word document. And then I would print them out and I'd carry them around with me. And like I would either give them out to people or I'd like, memorize the jokes and like make the jokes with people. And I remember on like bus rides back from like football games, basketball games, whatever we're doing, I would just like find people and just go like back and forth with them, like joke for joke, just like telling jokes and passing the time.
Get in some your mama
offs. Absolutely. And we do stuff like that. We tell like the dirtiest jokes we could find or think of or anything, and like it never translated into stand up for me. But I remember when I was in college. I went to college in Minneapolis, and so I'd 10-hour drive back and forth, and we came back quite a bit. And I remember I would always get really tired on these drives because sometimes I had to drive overnight, and music would just kind of make me feel more tired. But I would find stand-up comedy
kind of resonate to the.
It immediately would like perk me up, and I'd be able to stay awake just listening to stand-up. And so I started listening to more and more and more, and then we had a church talent show, and somebody was like, "Well, why don't you try some comedy?" I was like, "You know what? Maybe I should." So I went up and I did like
Hickory dickory down.
At the church talent show.
Yeah, I just ripped off the Dice Man. So I got up and I did 5 minutes of original stand-up, and it was all pretty.
That's
bad.
a shitload.
Yeah, it was all pretty bad though. But I had fun.
Shitload for the audience,
and it was really well received. And I got, some applause, and I went, okay, I'm always gonna keep doing this. And I went and sat down, and then an old guy got up behind me, and he's like, I'm gonna do stand up too. And then he just ripped off a Seinfeld bit word for word. And he got
lip syncers be damned.
Yeah. And he got like this standing ovation because it was a perfect. No, it was Bill Cosby. The Bill Cosby.
Ooh, that aged like milk.
It did, yeah. Gosh, it was something about like kids these days or something like that. Very played up to his audience, and I just remember
burned out though a little that rip off. You can't really, Joe Rogan has influenced a lot of things in America, good or bad. We'll find out how that aged, but like, he was an early joke thief radar in that world. Like brought down Mencia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Dane Cook.
Dane Cook.
Yeah, there's not a lot of appetite for comedians amongst comedians that rip off.
There's also a lot of like haterade, you know what I mean? Like, especially like from that roast vibe, you know what I mean? Those 4 people are writing all them jokes.
Yeah.
4 people are writing all them jokes. You're just presenting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I don't know. I suppose it's how your taste age a little, right? Like, I grew up with like Nick Giraldo and Patrice O'Neill and Jim Norton, I think are murderers. Rich Voss, right? Yeah. Like those guys are killers.
Yeah. Patrice O'Neill,
dude,
I hate that he died so young.
Right.
Like, that sucks.
Murderers.
Yeah.
But like that's not to say you see comics now that like you see a lot of crowd work now. I think, right? Like that's the thing now.
Well, that's for
like,
social media for sure.
Yeah, except for I see a lot of comics that have great road work TikTok, but like not 10 minutes, a little.
Because it's very easy to have good road work TikTok.
Yeah. Easier. Not I don't have it, right? Like, and who am I? I've never done a set.
It's a skill that you have to still build, but
and it's interesting how that's the MySpace of the time a little.
Yeah.
But and now I see longer form comics starting to come back a little. Like if I don't know if trends hold, and who knows if my algorithm is everybody's, right? But like, man, you had to trim all the fat off all the joke, right? Because couldn't keep everybody's attention span. And now there's this group of younger people, they want the difference.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens. And these comics that can go up and do 15 minutes on everything.
Yeah.
But it's not set them up, knock them down. It's arguably not stand up as we think of maybe stand up.
It's kind of storytelling melded into
storytelling melded into it, which has its place too, right? Like, and
Yeah.
that's why I think that's an interesting place where comedy is going to go. It's got a real Lenny Bruce feel to it. But boy, you'll have a lot of podcasts and comedy will have similar metronomes. Remember stand up in the 90s? Early 90s, it got bad because everybody there's this great Patton Oswalt bit about it called The Magician.
Yeah, I know that one.
You know this bit,
I know
right?
that bit. Yeah,
where he talks about like in the early 90s, because stand-up became so huge, everybody had a brick wall, and every Italian restaurant and every Chinese restaurant and every town in Omaha and every bar in Grand Forks, Nebraska you did a little stand-up, right? Because that's what we did, and you go make $75 or $100, whatever it was. And you could just make money doing that. But there's way too many of them. And you have a lot of hacks, just hacks everywhere. Buckle up in the podcast world. It is the early 90s, right? And so we're about to see so many dipshits that have absolutely nothing to say.
Yeah, that's us.
Right? But the trick is, and like, because that's what social media did to us all. It gave us all license. Now everybody's a stand-up and everybody's a podcaster and everybody just thinks they can talk about whatever they want. And they can. Wonderful. But not everyone's got to listen to it. And that's the second half of what we're going to learn out of this is like, I don't know, how many million podcasts there are right now. That shit's going to get dwindled down at least in half. All these celebrity bullshit, making all this deals, that'll go, and some of them will be good at it and good for them, but not all of them will be good at it because some of them are just rich, not interesting.
Well, you're seeing that in the distribution.
Yeah.
Where a lot of companies now being bought by other ones. It's very consolidating.
And like, it's all, the trick is to be consistent and earn your license.
Yeah.
And I think that will take a little time.
Well, you can tell that we're the ones that make the wise decisions. You know, we start a podcast when there's
like it's
oversaturated.
2024.
You guys should start a steam engine.
Yeah. We're doing stand-up comedy in Western
I love
South
you doing
Dakota.
stand-up comedy out here.
This is great.
I love that there's comedy out here. It's the last art form. It's the last, you know what I mean? Like
before
we
everything
get paid like
ends. Like you think the world's gonna end soon?
We're the harbingers of the end.
It's a resilient piece of fabric. It evolves always.
I mean, the Earth is gonna be around, but maybe not us.
Empathy will become in vogue.
Yeah,
I think.
Hopefully.
Can't not. Don't matter. Even like these vitriolic. Boil it down and Americaize as I can. And we'll keep it to the media, podcasts, whatever. America goes in media ownership swings of 60 to 80 years, and we're on the tail end of it where there's a pole evolution. Yes, that's stressful. No, that's not final. Yeah, a couple things got to get fixed. They take longer than, and now we're trained to, it beats us over the head constantly. TikTok, everything. Holy shit. Now, everything's going to die. Everybody's Hitler. Everybody's gay. Everybody's an autistic. Everybody's racist. It's just nonstop, right? That can't hold. You can't live like that.
Yeah, we can't have an autistic Hitler. Not a gay autistic Hitler.
Unless it just focuses on the paintings. And then it's great.
Yeah. Hitler through art school.
You stick
We're going to
to
have
the-
a lot of Hitlers
Right.
going through art school.
Hitler would have loved TikTok, by the way.
Oh my
like,
goodness.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyways. And also, this very second you misunderstand that the youth is undefeated, you're fucked. Excuse my French.
Yeah.
And, they're undefeated. You believe in them always, and I do. And so,
Well, it's just like we were saying earlier. TikTok feels like the end of mankind to us because we grew up with longer form stuff, and then we're like it can't go on much longer, but then it will go on.
I can't sit like my dad. You guys are so young. In the 90s, you would have to like argue about who could use the phone line to get on the internet.
Yeah.
A boob picture would take hours to load.
That didn't stop. I grew up with dial-up internet. It was,
The day
not
like
great.
we got the second phone line so you could just be on it all the time, it was like heroin. And like it's just so like my dad would sit and like he'd hear the ICQ noise. Beep boop. It'd go. When you get a message, it'd go beep boop. And if you forgot the computer was up at like 1 a.m. in your goth chat room, it'd go beep boop. And my dad would go, BJ. And like, all right, I go. And then I couldn't imagine trying to explain the concept of a goth chat room to your father in the night. It just sounds like you're coming out to him.
Yeah. So real quick, you grew up in Alcester,
yeah.
South Dakota,
Almost 750
as
friendly people.
a chubby goth kid, and your nickname was BJ.
I was not goth.
And you did not become a
He was
stand-up comic?
I know.
How did you not become a comic?
It's a good because
He
I
You
moonlighted.
are the origin story of all of us.
He moonlighted as a goth.
I did. I used the power of comedy to force me through. I believe what I do is stand-up-esque. There's a lot you have to, and I'll say it in the following way. There's nothing I love better. The funniest thing to me is watching a comic eat their teeth in front of a crowd. And not because you're rooting for their failure, but because that's how they get their 10,000 hours. You
Yeah.
got to get booed at forever before you find the bottom of funny, right? That's what comedy is. That's what stand-up is. It's the most impressive thing to me. I know that ruins you in your wiring a little, right? So, like, I love watching comics bomb. I love watching comics. It's the funniest thing there is to me. It's funnier than the funniest joke. It's funnier than The Onion buying Alex Jones, which is the funniest thing that's ever happened.
That is hilarious.
We did. Do you guys remember Jersey Steve?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yes.
The funniest, the hardest I've ever laughed. The snot bubbles that came out of my nose watching him eat his teeth at the drunk music festival fans that we had. We did this show called Loudfest in like 2012. Okay. 10 years, over 10 years ago at this point. Oh, I'm such an old man. Jersey Steve was the comic of the day locally here.
Yeah.
And we did this thing called Loudfest, which is like 2 days outside of a campground outside of Sturgis. It was 150 degrees outside. Everybody was mad. We thought it was a brilliant idea to put the shitty metal band on at like 1 a.m. That was a mistake. Those people, the 30 people that came and watched that metal band just sat in the heat and fired themselves up with malt liquor and Marlboro Reds and whatever else those people eat. But they had to wait.
Yeah.
Doing set changes, and we're like, someone in 2 months before we started was like, how about we hire a comic? This is what we do to you people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How about we hire a dumb clown to come and monkey dance in front of our drunk audience? It'll be a hit with your yuckity yucks. Oh, God, we set him up. It is our fault, not his. And his set was fine. Right?
Yeah.
He got up there, and he's like, hi, and immediate was like, boo, God, he's sorry. And this is all before all the things, right? These people should have loved him, and probably would have at 4 p.m. They're fucked up, and they're mad about their kids and their ex-wives or whatever they're mad about, and they just want to see a metal band, and he just took crickets and boos for 10 minutes straight. God, it was down to like 100 people watching, and they were all booing or completely silent, and he's trying to comedian, and there's me in the back howling with laughter. And then we made him do it the next night.
He's like, all right, let's try it out.
And it went worse. They didn't even boo. They just sat in total cemetery silence.
That's the worst.
Oh, I
so
love
much
it.
worse.
You could hear, if somewhere there's video of nobody laughing to somebody not being funny except for me in the back, cackling like a chicken. It's wonderful.
I just love that moment between when a comic really is like, this is the part that's going to send them. And then you can tell they put themselves all of that bit, and then there's nothing. That's
And
the
your
greatest,
stomach
holiest
hurts, right?
moment.
Like, it hurt. And it's not like I don't want him to, I root for his success. It's not that I'm haterating.
It's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny.
It's so funny.
No, I've had that, and it almost comes from like a place of just like not even nervous, like you're not trying to fill it. It's just like this is the most absurd situation I've ever seen, and it's wonderful. It's like
people don't being on stage. Time is not there. Your time and their time are now different things, and you have to keep. Do you guys know what the Elmsley count is? It's a magician term. The Elmsley count is the beat
like
of
rhythm
the
of
magic
it.
trick to do the sleight of hands and the whatever. And the magician has the count in his head, and the audience doesn't know the Elmsley count. And that's how magic tricks work, kind of, as I understand it. The count in your head is a million times faster because you've done it a million times, or you had a bad day, or you had a fight with your buddy or your spouse or whatever, and you're thinking about all that shit. And then you got to do the setup and punchline you've been working on, but you're also trying to throw in the two new things, and you don't know where they're going to go in the set yet. And there's either somebody there or nobody there, or they're into it or not into it. And their Emsley count is way different than yours because they were TikToking it right before the show started. you going right away, right?
Yeah.
So I really you got to know their count and your count in your head while all that stuff's going on. That's an animal.
Yeah. You got to figure that out within the first minute or two.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to start, okay, this is what I'm going to have to do. And sometimes it's just, I'm going to have to just talk for 30 straight goddamn minutes.
Here we go.
It's like, there's about 5 people in this crowd who love what I'm doing. I'm looking at them
Talking
the
to
whole
them.
time.
yeah.
But also that's why I like a great front man. And I don't mean that in a gender way. Anybody can be a front man.
Mm-hmm.
The comedians or the stage workers or the crowd workers or whatever the gig is, the ones who can sit in that uncomfortableness and get a little mad about it and work their ass off to get that dude into it, he ain't leaving until he's laughing. Right? Like that's a wonderful talent. And I'll search for people who can do that forever. So you guys should learn how to do that.
Sounds like the well's dry for you.
I think he just told us to start a band here is what
Should.
I'm hearing.
You start a band, you start your stand-up group, get a bus,
I tried
learn
to
a magic trick.
I tried to start a band with him. It's not
Didn't
working
go?
out. It's not working out.
Well, we all play bass, so we can't all play.
That makes sense.
True, Will.
3 bass players and a weirdo smelling your pillow farts in the back alley of Fifth Street. That's where it's become for me.
Yeah.
Anytime we've ever discussed music, we don't have any of the same. He's like, check out
You
this song
said,
by
like-
Razor.
Yeah, you said the Smiths. You're the emo one of the bunch. You're the one who's good. I'm gonna call if I want cocaine.
He still puts me in lockers.
Not that I would. All right.
Is it the municipal waste hat or is it the sunglasses?
Yeah.
So I was told there is a
Here we go.
Chrissy Davies magic something or other.
This
What's
is on
the
bottom
thing?
of my hat.
Wasted.
Yeah.
Nice. Excellent.
Or-
What is this
yeah.
called?
The Chrissy Davies hat of, I don't know.
Destiny?
Do you want to call it Destiny this
Hat
time?
of Destiny.
We'll call it the Hat of Destiny.
Legacy
Are they-
is right in there.
Questions from Chrissy Davies.
No.
Oh, it's just named
It's
after
her
her because
hat.
she's it's her hat. Okay.
She won't answer us.
You want me to help you out here?
She left my hat. She left this hat behind, and I've been trying to give it back to her for 2 years. But now it's become important to the
Now
show.
it's yours. Now you need it. Now it's
yeah,
a prop.
Yeah.
You should collect a thing from every guest. And
Oh.
We usually do. It's called their wallet. And
we put something in your drink.
Bill Cosby in more than a few ways. You know? Yeah. So
Who wrote these?
we did.
We all contribute to this somehow.
Are they specifically to me?
We wrote them with you in mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with what you do.
I'm being nosy.
It could just be something we just thought of
I
on the
love it.
moment, on the spot. And
like,
this,
did you know your fly is down?
I'll take it.
Like,
because we want to, like, no one's going to ask you this question.
Lay it on me.
What's the best flavor of Skol?
I'm a Copenhagen guy.
Oh, well, Skol's kind of like
Is that generic?
the person who wrote this was kind of being generic.
I am a bit of a redneck. Copenhagen isn't flavored. It is flavored like Copenhagen.
Oh,
Which tastes like redneck.
well, see, we're learning so
like
much.
redneck.
Yeah.
We're
Does
saying,
it taste like manure smells? Is that
No,
does
it's
it bring
just
you back
tobacco.
to home?
It's just finally.
is
you
there
know,
a menthol Copenhagen?
No. There's like, you guys aren't Zen kids. Yeah, all right.
I may know what the youth does.
I like how he's trying to say he's not.
No, my fellow street youth.
No, I smoke Misties. I don't know.
I used to steal Misties from my mom when we'd go fishing. We'd go catfishing on the Sioux River, and you'd need to steal a pack of cigarettes from your mom or your dad or somebody's buddy's
The
dad.
box is like this long.
Yeah, and that's how I grew up, stealing beer from my relatives and cigarettes from my relatives. And then if you couldn't find any of them, my buddy and Larry and I, there was this couple of gals in town that would just drive around and smoke cigarettes all day. And we would ask them to buy cigarettes for us. And they were always driving around, like constantly, always. Everybody in Alcester who ever listens to this knows exactly who I'm talking about. They'd buy you beer, too. Yeah. It was a good little operation.
So school tastes terrible.
Yeah. Don't do it, kids.
What's it like to have a real podcast?
We have over 20 at HomeSlice Audio. So
You have like 4
I am on a few things.
on your own.
I do. So I do. In fact, I have a personal one called the Book of Murdoc that goes in spurts. It's a bit of a personal journal, and so I'll go a year or two where we do quite a number, and then I'll take some months off from time to time. I just started recording it, and we're back up into a spurt again. And that's probably my I've been taking. This is a show of a version of what I've been doing for 20 years. It's just me working through whatever, personal nonsense is in my head at the time. A lot of it doesn't age well, I'm sure. Just, what I mean? There's no edits in this.
You're sitting there.
Yeah.
We should be invading Iraq.
And like over COVID, I just kind of sat in a studio by myself and talked to an invisible audience that slowly grew.
Okay, we all got a little weird.
Yeah,
I think I was reading like spoken word
I
poetry
got
on
into marble.
Facebook. Yeah.
I was betting on marbles on treadmills and shit.
Oh, Marble
dude,
Olympics,
yeah, those are
big
great.
guy. I bought. So we have content creators, right? And so like my big COVID idea was like, I got all these hamsters from the pet store.
Whoa.
Okay. They were like, we'll just give you the hamsters because no one's coming in to buy these. And all of these hamsters are going to die. So they just gave me the hamsters.
I didn't know there was a run on
There was
hamsters.
a run on hamsters. Oh, no, there was the opposite of a run on hamsters. There are too many hamsters. Anyways, I thought we'd do this hamster racing league where my staff would like voice their characters and stuff. But I didn't really tell anybody what to do. I just kind of got the hamsters and went, go for it. And then a bunch of the hamsters died, and some of our people still have PTSD about it. It was it got real weird during COVID. Anyways, I have Book of Murdoc. I have.
It's a real good
Thank
peek
you.
behind the process. There.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
not all of it makes
I
sense.
need a lot of round twos.
Yeah.
My communication style is exhausting at first until you kind of
Kill
learn
a bunch of hamsters.
how I go, and then it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Dakota Town Hall is another one. We do a week, an hour a week on South Dakota politics, which I co-host, which can be a drag sometimes.
So besides this like last couple weeks here, has there been like an hour of South
Yeah.
Dakota politics every week?
I
to
mean,
do
I
this
don't
stuff?
think it's not for millions of people to enjoy, certainly, but like to the 10% of the hyper whatever, they're into it. Yeah, and there's leadership votes, and everyone's always working on a bill, and there's always issues, and someone's always mad, and in this state, like, dude, I wouldn't trust some of these guys with my breakfast order, let alone
the Butte County City or Butte County Commission
some wild
meetings
groups
were
up there. Yeah,
pretty exciting for a minute.
There's a Facebook group up there called We the People. That thing is interesting,
Yeah.
So
What
yeah,
about
there is.
Sturgis
Is it-
falling apart.
Yeah, and there's 18 people that are going to be running for governor in U.S. House, and everyone's already jockeying for angles and stuff like that. Never really ends. I do a show every week with the mayor, no matter who the mayor is, called Meeting with the Mayor. But that's local community stuff. I think that's important for a community. We do a show every week called Rapid City Business Journal. Although I don't have to host that anymore. But yeah, I don't know. That's what I do. Make things. They're not all good.
Cool.
But sometimes they are.
Yeah,
And sometimes you just kill a lot of hamsters.
that happens.
Speaking of which, that leads
You
perfectly
can't make
into
a
this one's-
podcast without killing some hamsters. That's the saying, right?
So this one, we don't know if this is a real question for you.
Okay.
Do you enjoy murdering the turkey on Thanksgiving? All right, he does. He kills the turkey.
I don't personally.
Are you sure?
I have.
You have a guy.
I
for
now
that?
have people for that. I can put distance between the suffering.
You have a guy. Okay.
But you have.
I haven't personally killed a turkey
Oh, okay.
for this specific bit. I have killed a turkey. I grew up hunting.
Yeah.
And I grew up on farms. I used to be the guy on the bolt gun at the packing plant.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's one where you kind of put your blinders on, huh?
You have to.
Yeah.
There's a guy, I worked with a dude in the packing plant in high school. It was his job. So like, I'm sorry to be gross, but when you bring the pig through the packing plant and then you have to kill it and you have to drain it of its things. And then it soaks in this bath of acid and stuff that gets its hair and skin off. And then it goes through this rotating flapper thing. It's a guy's job to take the pig off the chain and kind of nudge it into the flapper thing. And that's all he does all day long. All by himself in the 180-degree third-story heat.
Yeah.
And he has arms as big as tires. But he can't have a 4-minute conversation with you because he's institutionalized in this thing, right? There's fascinating little things you learn working at a packing plant.
Yeah.
I don't know why I told that story, but
Loved it.
just trying to impress you guys, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it made an impression. What is the best album of all time?
Teenager of the Year is up there. I'm late. I'm discovering a bunch of things that I was late on because like at the time I was busy with things, right? So like there's a whole series of hip hop from like the 2010s. I'm just kind of getting into like Mac Miller and stuff. That's really great.
Oh, yeah.
Also, rock's hard right now. Like hip hop is rock right now. Like Kendrick Lamar's records that are coming out right now, and I have an ability to reach people in a way I don't think rock has been able to for a while. So I don't know. I grew up rock, right? But it's hard for me to stay in just one thing and pick one album.
I mean, rock hasn't been good since like the Strokes.
It's easy to hate on like, Five Finger Death Punch and that scene.
I didn't say any
Yeah,
names,
yeah.
but,
That was maybe more
You're right.
corporate radio's fault than anything. We've had some sins on our hands.
I was gonna say, so you're the problem, is what you're saying.
Hey man,
he didn't know what he was doing. He was just running morning blood.
I was the first thing you learned when I got into radio is you don't get to change any of that. You just sit down and do your thing. But it was a blessing of an opportunity because you go into radio and you think, I'm gonna pick all the hits everyone knows, and you learn that you don't have shit to do with that, right? So then you go, what am I gonna do? And then you gotta learn how to be interesting. Sorry, I'm
You're
not
not
really
going to choose an
answering.
album?
Frank Black's Teenager of the Year.
Okay, that was okay.
I'll stick with it.
It seemed like you might have been building into something else, but
Sometimes I'll go for a
but
bit
then
and not have a point at all.
But then I realized, like, no, his radio's kicking in, and
I'm just rambling.
He's just trying to get to the next song.
A little bit. Just trying to hit the post, dang it.
He's like, I bet if I can do a minute 20, I can run the timeout on this one.
Yeah, probably that record.
What's your favorite TV series to take 3 edibles and get zoinked out to?
It depends on my mood. If I'm really depressed and I need to like snap myself out of a funk, I will watch something that like really is a little dangerously inspirational, like The Last Dance. Because like all I learn out of something like Martha Stewart's latest documentary is what one has to sacrifice in order to be the greatest thing of all time. And I feel a little better about like some of my other misgivings, right? I don't know. That was good. It's the last one I took 3 edibles and watched, I guess. That's
You've actually taken 3 edibles and watched
well, 3 edibles. Who knows what's in them? Everything is different milligrams.
It's not hitting yet.
Right.
Gotta take a couple more.
I'll go back to some the history of the Eagles, man. The history of the Eagles. The history of the Eagles is such
You're a documentary guy.
dude. There's one I go back to often when I just need something I've seen it a million times, but it's always great. I have a couple of them. There's one the Foo Fighters did, even though Dave Grohl's in prison now, for the side baby. But like, he did
Societal prison.
He did a documentary called
Sound? Is it the Sound?
Sound City.
Sound City.
It's a wonderful
That's a good one.
documentary that like so many great records were made on that board and those stories. I like that a lot. Dana Carvey also has one. Here's one for your comics at heart. The biggest ABC disaster show in ABC's history in the 90s was a show called The Dana Carvey Show. And he did a documentary about how shitty it was called Too Funny to Fail. And it's so funny. It's so funny. And it was such a disaster. And so like, you know, I guess I have election on the brain. Like I ran the IM29 or I helped on the IM29 campaign. So I just got my ass kicked.
Yeah.
Right?
A lot of good you did.
Yeah, seriously. And so like those are the things I'll watch in those. That's why I'm answering it this way, right?
Yeah.
Those are the ones that come to mind. Is those are, you know, it's okay to bomb a thing, and it's also
The Dana Carvey one is one
Dude.
where as you're watching, you're like, how
did this not work?
this should work.
It should work.
And then they show you clips, and you're like,
Oh,
yeah.
So you're not
And
a
also,
Friends fan, is what you're saying.
yeah, never seen it. I tried, and maybe it'll be funny one day. Like I don't know, maybe
No,
when I'm 82,
That's not the consensus.
it'll be like pivots. Yeah, you know, I don't know. But I've always thought that, right? Like I've always been a little too cool for the room on stuff that should have been like that. Like, you know, do you guys ever remember? There's this great space here. Okay, here's the honest answer of what I would watch on 3 Edibles. There's a cartoon from the 90s called Space Ghost Coast to Coast,
Yeah.
which is a night. You guys know this.
Yeah.
We're best friends for life.
The episode where he follows the ant for like 15 minutes. That's
My
a 3
brother and
edible
I-
trip.
Well, at random times throughout the year, my brother and I will just go out of the blue, out of context. What are those? And then the other one will go, butterscotch haystacks. And we'll just piss ourselves laughing.
Every time I move my arm, Cartoon
Oh.
Network pays $40.
That's great. Okay,
All right, this is the last one.
let's do it.
And who's fatter, me or Brandon Jones?
He's been going to the gym.
Oh, so
He's on it.
I gotta get to the
He's
gym.
been putting in the work.
I gotta fight him.
I just saw.
We're gonna fight someday.
I just saw him in a pair of jeans, and let me tell you,
You wanted a slice of that?
he's got a smackable.
That's
Dare I
awesome.
say? I mean, I wouldn't because he's an employee, and who wants to do that?
Well, you said you've made some mistakes. What's one more?
What's one more? What's
Well, you
one
can
more
always
ass?
fire him just so then you could
Right.
yeah.
No, unfortunately, right now you got him. You know, you're a little thicker.
Yeah. Well, I'm just like cultivating mass.
But how do you know? Because Brandon can grow a beard, and I've never seen
Right.
Tyler grow a beard.
That's buddy.
Listen, here's the
Can't
thing.
either.
People who grow beards have no idea what they are missing in terms of
Really?
like missing like
Mhm.
multiple chins.
Oh, yeah.
Like what we're getting away with just because we can grow
Yeah,
a beard.
that's the way you should. That's the way
Yeah.
I should have said it.
That I can't grow any facial hair, but I have enough of a chin I can ride that.
Yeah.
out,
Yeah.
right.
Have you ever tried?
Oh,
Really
yeah.
tried?
Oh yeah.
Well, COVID.
Dude,
I mean, everyone
I
tried to
even
grow a
like
beard.
bought this tonic stuff where you're like, come on, patchy goatee. I just want a patchy goatee. You know,
Pulling stuff
I
out of,
spent a
boxes.
summer as a fishing guide in the Northwest Territories, growing out my facial hair once. Not specifically for it, but like I'm telling you, you can pick an age, and I'm doing something goofy, buddy. and I came back, and I can grow the. You ever seen them videos of like post after 9/11, but like pre-Obama of like cave videos from Al Qaeda's Taliban? And there's always that one dude in the back who's old as shit.
Yeah.
But he's like in the group, right? And he couldn't grow any facial hair except he had a 7-inch
Oh,
beard
no.
coming in from his neck. That is
Yeah.
the beard I can grow. But that's the only beard I can grow.
Yeah, I have like about 4 patches of hair that might come through.
Yeah.
There was one summer going into fall that I was like, I didn't have like a day job, so I didn't have to look presentable or anything. Basically lived in a basement, and I had like 19 hairs that were just like 1.5 inches long, and I was like, it's not happening.
It's unfortunate. You got a good up top though.
Yeah, it's all right.
You hang on to that, buddy.
See,
You got to see all the bro
once all
game.
my friends started going bald and their hairline started moving like that,
Yeah.
I was like, I just started growing. I just didn't cut it because I was like,
You don't have to.
Let me do it just because I can.
You can
Because
have
I
your
might not
thing.
be able to
You should
in the future.
keep that mindset.
My life's not going in the right direction.
Dude, Rogaine.
Yeah,
I'm Rogaining it up. Just
Oh, yeah.
you got to put in the work.
I just cut mine.
Got to buy the tonics.
It's
Huh?
thin up on the top of the Himalayas. You got to hang on for dear life.
You got a nice little layering going on with your 15
I'm
hairs.
telling you, I'm holding on tight. Windy out today. This shit don't sit.
I messed up and cut mine into a mullet. So
It's big right now, though. The kids are big on the mullets.
And it doesn't grow out. It just stays in the mullet.
Business up front. What's the revolver? What's the band? Widower. What's his favorite?
widower.
What's the
Widower.
band?
Oh, Dagger or
Dagger? No. Who's the band no one's heard of?
Razor.
Razor. Thank you.
Razor.
Defecator. I don't know. It's like-
Violator.
Well,
He
I was gonna say,
anytime we ask him for a band, he's always just like pulling out. It's like, Pig Sufferer. It's like,
get,
all right.
I get asked who's your favorite band. I don't know, 100 times a year on stuff.
Yeah.
And for years, I would say, you guys remember the movie That Thing You Do?
Oh, yeah, the Wonders.
Captain Geach and the
Yeah.
Shrimp Shack
Captain
Shooters.
yes.
We're not the Wonders right now. We're Captain
Geach.
Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters.
That I literally started that yesterday as my favorite fictional song ever.
Wonderful.
Oh, it's so good.
Well,
No,
That was it.
yeah.
that's
Do
empty.
we end as weird and awkward as we
No,
begin?
no. You just plug whatever you want.
I don't.
Just,
He's not a plugger.
I will plug.
Well,
That-
I am 29 failed.
He's
so
too big
to
plug.
Can't.
I'll
Yeah.
plug getting your medical marijuana card.
Yeah.
Let me plug. We have shows. We have a lot of shows, and I think we have I don't know this is a lofty thing, but I think we might have the most talented group of broadcast content creators in America, which is a lot because there's a lot of we're not in a big city, right? Like we're doing it in a small town here, but like we have a show with Brandon's on a show with Amy called The Roadhouse. That's I think really brilliant. And Mark Houston and Rob Henry have a podcast called Whiskey at Work where they talk about various whiskeys that are cool. A couple goobers do a Vikings podcast, Brandon and Mitchell. I think Dakota Town Hall, a lot of people that aren't me put a lot of work into it. And we're always making new things and making new shows and doing new bits. And like it's a few years back, I had an opportunity. A guy comes to me and he goes, "Hey man, I'd like you to do this thing, and I'll pay you a shitload." It was a good job. It was, life-changing money and all the whole bit, right? And he pitched me in an interesting way. He goes, "For the next 2-3 weeks, I want you to, at any given time you have a problem, think to yourself, can I fix this problem with money right now? And just think about that in that way." And I did. And like, life's life, whether you're rich, poor, whatever, you have dumb stuff. And like, in that moment, I'm like, if I had whatever money, can I fix this right now? And in every instance, I could. And I was like, wow, yeah, I can fix all these stupid stresses with cash today. Maybe I should think about this. And I'm sitting in yoga class one day. It was before Thanksgiving. And I go in my own, like I think of a lot of bits when I'm doing yoga, which I don't think is the point of yoga, but whatever. But I think a lot of bits in yoga. Because it's a good spot for your mind to exercise.
I think he's telling us to do yoga.
Maybe
is what
everybody should do yoga. I'm a weird. I sound like I'm talking about CrossFit when I talk about yoga. Let's not go there. But I thought it'd be funny if the mayor pardoned a turkey, which is stupid because who cares? And it's Thanksgiving and we're who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a meeting on Tuesday where a bunch of people sit in a room, and I don't mean in a shitty way, but like they all gotta kind of listen to me, right? And I get to tell a room, we're gonna pardon a turkey. And they go, "Why?" And I'm like, "Oh, because it's funny." And like, now we're on year, I don't know, 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever we're doing on this thing. And the media shows up and covers it. And the community gets into it. And we're donating turkeys to a church this year, which is kind of fun. And like, it's a thing. And I don't know if that offsets all that money. But like the ability to sit and think, that'd be kind of, let's do it. And then we have a whole wonderful crew of people that are so talented to be able to do it. It's maybe the best job in America. And like, I'll plug them. HomeSliceAudio.com. And all of the shits at sea.
So HomeSlice. What was the website?
Just Google the HomeSlice Group.
The HomeSlice
And
Group.
whatever you like
Can
to
you find
view.
all these shows on that website?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
100%.
I like that he plugs the website, and then our expert plugger goes,
What?
He
We have a
said it
million
twice.
websites.
You just told
And
me
then
5
nothing.
seconds ago.
And Murdoc's, I'm Googleable. You can find me.
Yeah.
And I'm out there. And I'm posting. When does this air? When do we put this
It's
on?
going to be in early December, late November.
Okay. So by the time this goes out, I'll have a whole new slew of Book of Murdoc episods on. So if
All
you
right.
think I'm
Oh,
half
cool.
interesting, you can go check out a couple.
I have one last question
Do
for
it.
you. 29.
Yeah. You want to talk about it?
Oh, is it bad?
Like I am 29?
No, 29, like when you were 29.
Oh, what was I doing? I thought we were going to talk about the I am
No,
29.
I just realized
Man,
that's
I-
probably why
That was
how
a
much-
crazy.
that's
just
why that
how
number
much-
came in my head.
Dude, like that's how much. What was I doing at 29? I was at a real, 29 was hard. I had lost my business and I was so I had emptied 2 401ks to try to limp it along. I was taking real goofy gigs. I was building websites for like churches and I was trying to, one guy, thank God I didn't do this. One guy, it got so bad around that time. One guy was like, "You want a strip club DJ?" Like that's how bad it almost got. Strip club, and I didn't do the strip club DJ gig, but I did do like a little. You go to the casino and you wear the tux
Oh yeah.
and you like hand out the cash.
Yeah.
I had to do a little bit of that.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of the things I was doing in 29. Nothing illegal, by then, but it was down there. Yeah, got my truck repoed in 29. That was a hard one. I had to learn all kinds of lessons in that time frame.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you have the Mary Lou Henner like thing where you just remember your whole life, like you remember every day, or is it just like you've kind of condensed them all, like your years enough to where
I'm getting a little old, so I'm starting to swap dates and years and times, and you know what I mean. Also, you know, I make a living telling stories, right? I feel like that's what I do.
He just told us happened last year.
Right, or is mostly true.
he actually did do the strip club DJ job. He just doesn't want to tell.
Never detasseled a day in my life, but you know, old Cinnamon Jim had quite the career.
Well, no, you did detassel. It just wasn't corn you were working on.
Yes.